Okay, so I did finally watch this Ice Cube, War of the Worlds, Amazon Screen Life movie because everyone has been asking me to watch this and see how bad it is and review it because this has turned into the bad movie of the moment that everyone is supposed to watch and review and talk about how bad it is. I watched it with a friend and we had a good time watching it together, and this was weeks ago at this point that I did it, maybe only 2 weeks, I don't know. It's been a long couple of weeks, so time is kind of blurred. And, to be honest, I didn't even think to sit down and review it and talk about it because I understand why people want this to be the new bad movie that everyone talks about how bad it is, and yay, let's rag on it. This is the new The Room, the new Birdemic, and I had fun watching it because I was watching it with a friend, but it's not really, in my opinion, bad enough to be that kind of fun. It's just kind of dull and boring, and yeah, sorry. The most that I have to say about it, unfortunately, is that I wish that this was either worse or better, because I can see the funny version that people want this to be, but it's not as good as, like, original Sharknado. It's definitely not as good in a bad way as Birdemic was, because you can see an earnestness there, and here I mostly just see the good idea that this had that didn't come to fruition. Which is, and I mean this sincerely, I can see where, especially this being a COVID production, this was definitely made during COVID, like a couple weeks into it. Despite this coming out now, apparently they made this very early into the actual pandemic and kind of think of, okay, what is something we can do to make a movie during this? And in that respect, I can see the blocks of where this must have come from. The most famous version of War of the Worlds as an adaptation, even though there have been several good movies made out of it, the 50s version, Spielberg's version, the most famous version of War of the Worlds outside of the book is that Orson Welles did a radio play adaptation, restaging the book as in the form of a news report broadcast on radio that, as legend has it, it's actually debatable how many people were actually fooled by this. People took so seriously they thought it was real. And that's the famous version of War of the Worlds, adapting a classic novel into the new-ish medium of radio play. And that's very cool. So I can see someone looking at this and saying, okay, what do we do during COVID? These Screen Life movies are these movies that take place in the chat screens of movies, so the fact that people are in their Zoom windows and are also clicking around Google search and chat windows and text is part of the story, and yes, I find most of them as irritating as everyone else, though I did like searching. You can see where someone would look at this situation of, okay, maybe we could make a movie on Zoom and have a light bulb go off and say, hey, what if we did War of the Worlds as a Zoom news broadcast mashup? Because, hey, Orson Welles made it work on the radio. This is a progression of that, the next evolution of adapting an old story into a new medium. Okay, you know what? Points for making the most of a situation and whatnot. The problem is that this sucks. It's bad execution of what could have been an interesting idea. Fundamentally, the idea of watching something huge like an alien invasion play out over news broadcast windows and also trying to find where all of your friends and family are via phone calls and social media windows is a potentially great idea, because that is how so many of us, process news information and just trying to figure out what's going on during big events. I'm not bending over backwards to give the movie credit here. Hey, a lot of us experience huge news events through the medium of talking to each other through tiny windows on phones and Zoom windows, while also looking at the news out of the corner of our eyes. How can we adapt that into cinematic storytelling is a good question and an interesting idea to try to solve for cinema. This is just a bad version of that. I'm not someone who's backwards and set in his ways enough to say, oh, nobody wants to watch Independence Day adapted for phone windows. Maybe they do. There's a whole generation that mostly watches, vertical video and YouTube shorts as opposed to linear television. I don't like it, but maybe there is a way to merge those two into new storytelling streams and mediums. This isn't that. And it's not because the medium doesn't work, it's because the storytelling doesn't work. But anyway, The gimmick here is that Ice Cube is playing a government security analyst who basically, for purposes of plot, can just look at any drone or any security camera in the world to look for, he's looking for information terrorists, is the nominal premise for this. But he's mostly using it to, be invasive and spy on his son and daughter, whom he's mildly estranged from. His wife has died. Standard setup for all of that. An alien invasion starts to happen. No one knows what's going on, so he is also trying to do his government job and direct drones and strikes and etc. and figure out what's going on against the aliens, but also keep track on his kids as they flee the disaster. It's kind of messy, but okay, not a bad premise for this. The idea is there. The movie doesn't work. Mostly because they simultaneously have too much money to hire actors who are comically a little too good to be in this, and not enough money to have decent effects for when the aliens have to do their thing, because it sort of looks like you're watching the Asylum version of another movie. And the bones of how they put this together in terms of just have people say things that sound like disaster movie stuff in terms of run, oh no, what's going on, into the camera, and then we can cut around and use that as coverage while we zoom around to windows, is very transparent. What really makes this not work is that you have to have really good, clever filmmaking to make such a complex idea come together, and the filmmaking here is very bad. There's just no way around it. You can feel where they're going for the concept of an emotional gut punch, where the whole thing is that the aliens want to eat our data. They're like digital aliens, and they want to siphon off all of the world's data, and this is visualized by everyone's Facebook memories and photos being deleted. And I'm like, oh man, in a good movie, that would be something approaching a gut punch, because that is how so many people store their important stuff now. A talented filmmaker could really make that concept work. That's almost a gift-wrapped, make everyone sad by adjacent implication concept that just kind of drops in its lap, and they fumble it. And look, I want to join in the laughs that everyone else has, because yes, the Amazon product placement is out of control, and the fact that it's an Amazon-released movie makes it funnier. Yes, it's dumb that one of the other characters, the daughter's fiance, is an Amazon truck driver, and at one point he saves someone by taping them up with Amazon packing tape, and they fight the aliens using an Amazon drone, which they have to fix by getting a homeless guy to pick it up off the street, so they send him an Amazon gift card, and it's all product placement. Yeah, product placement is funny, but every movie is product placement now, so I'm not sure how much of a joke that really is. I'm not trying to make a bigger point here, but mocking that just kind of makes me tired. Yeah, fine, there's a lot of product placement in movies like this, but product placement in and of itself doesn't make a movie bad. Badly integrated through poor filmmaking product placement makes a movie bad. Barbie was a toy commercial, and in the parts where it wasn't a toy commercial, it was also a car commercial, and that movie was really good, in my opinion. There's only so much mocking of product placement, even from a bullshit company like Amazon, fuck Jeff Bezos, that I can do before I start to feel like a mild hypocrite, because I'm looking forward to that Masters of the Universe movie, and that's going to be a commercial. I tried really hard not to look forward to that, by the way, because I'm pissed off that they're letting Jared Leto play Skeletor, speaking of a fuck that guy. But I watched that teaser, and that teaser is only a logo and theme music, and I watched it, and I had to go, oh, son of a bitch, that's the music from the Filmation cartoon. They got me again. Holy shit. Oh, God, I'm gonna like this, aren't I? Shit. But I digress. Like I said, the problem with this is that it's both badly made and also looks like it costs too much and has too many expensive actors in it. If this was something that a bunch of young filmmakers or even actual YouTube kids had put together just because they had what they thought was a cool idea and looked like it was made for $5,000 with MS Paint and a dream, it would probably be pretty cool because at least the energy would be interesting. But even as a COVID production, these are famous people and a pretty good amount of money to spend, and it still looks lazy, cheap, and shat out. And there's nothing funny about that to me. Birdemic is funny because it seems like the guy is really trying. Sharknado is fun because it's conceptually fun to watch people fuck around in a monster movie. This is just dull slop. It's one step above an AI-generated movie. Not that bad, but still just dull. I wish I could laugh at it as much as other people did. I won't say it wasn't fun to laugh at with someone else, but it mostly made me tired. And I didn't need to feel more tired, so 2 out of 10, I guess.